Matt Hebert and the Lonesome Brothers are a collaboration between Matt Hebert and members of the Lonesome Brothers, specifically Ray Mason and Jim Armenti. They released an album titled It's a Lot, Baby in October 2024. The album features a mix of Hebert's solo work and collaborations with Ray Mason and Jim Armenti, along with other musicians like Keith Leverow, Scott Hall, and Bob Hennessy. The album's release show was at the Iron Horse in Northampton, Massachusetts on November 3rd, 2024. And welcome, Matt Hebert. How are you?
I'm good, Mark. How are you?
I did pronounce your name right?
Matt,
Hebert,
right?
not
A
Hebert.
Bear. It's actually A Bear.
That's
Yeah.
what I thought.
Yeah. When I moved to Austin, it's the proximity to Louisiana, which is it's a very common name in Louisiana. People
Oh,
ask me my name. They're like, "What's your name?" I'm Matt Hebert. And they're like, "This fool doesn't even know how to pronounce his own name."
Yankee.
But now I do. So,
So you released not too long ago, last year, I believe. It's a lot, baby. Great album. What
thanks.
was going through your mind when you decided to team up with the Lonesome Brothers?
Yeah, I mean, the Lonesome Brothers are. I was in Ray Mason's band for years. I'm familiar. They're a big part of my life, to be honest. They played my wedding. The first date with my wife was a Lonesome Brothers show at Seven O's in is it called Seven O's in Sunderland?
I
Yeah,
forget.
it's
Yeah.
called something different now, but it was called Seven O's, and that was a place that my wife was. She went to UMass. She's from Boston. She was like, I'm never going to go into that place. And on our first date, I bring her to that place, and the Lonesome Brothers are playing, and we she met a lot of my really close friends that night, and yeah, it was great. And then they played our wedding. All Around You was our first dance. So I love them, and you know, being away for 15 years, they were still like we listened to them regularly. So I have this band, Hidden Skyline, and we were getting ready to play some shows, and our guitar player is in a band that they ended up going on a tour. So I had 5 months of downtime. Our guitar player and Don McCauley, our drummer, both had things come up. So we had to push the release of the Hidden Skyline record. So I've been thinking about a just vocal acoustic record for years. Um, and I was like, I don't like downtime. So I started writing what I thought was going to be acoustic guitar and vocals. And then a couple of songs in, I wrote a song called These Words. And it sounded like I was ripping off It's Gonna Take a Lot of Love by Neil Young. And then I was like, I kind of want to hear this sound like a scrappy rock thing. And I said to my wife, I'm like, I'm going to ask the Lonesome Brothers if they want to be the backup band on this record. And my wife was like, that's a really great idea. Like, that's such a cool idea. So I called Ray, and Keith and Ray were both in Ware River Club, my
Mhm.
my old band. They were the original rhythm section in Ware River Club, and Jim Armenti was Bob Hennessy's guitar teacher. And so I had seen the Lonesome Brothers with Scott Hall, and I had seen the Lonesome Brothers with Bob Hennessy, and I don't know, it was. I'm like, this collective group could be great. So they all agreed, thankfully. I mean, thanks so much. I mean, they're such great players, and Ray on bass. Like when we were working on arranging the songs, like watching what he was doing, and you realize talking with Jim's like, I just wait to see what Ray's going to do, and I build what I'm going to do around what Ray does on bass. So like a lot of times in rehearsals, I think I write a little differently than they do. And then Jim would be like, hold on a second, Ray, what are you doing? And then just such a joy to collaborate with those guys. So yeah, we went into the studio, and in like 8 hours we had the album.
Was some of that collaboration going on? Did they kind of make recommendations on stuff that you had written?
Yeah, like the first time we got together, I had sent them some demos, and they came over to my house, and we sat around our dining room table, and just kind of made notes and kind of talked through it, and some arranging ideas, and then we got together as a full band, I think twice, and then we went into the studio and just did it live. And they're such good players. I mean, I think half of the songs don't have a click on them. Keith is just such a monster drummer. Like he was like, yeah, it's this is the beats per minute, and just did it, and
Wow.
they play with each other so well. And Scott and Bob are both familiar with them. And then later we added Brad Hutchinson on banjo. He is on a few songs, and he's playing live with us now. So, yeah.
Cool. You mentioned these words earlier. It has such a familial vibe to it, kind of like a Tom Petty song that you never heard before, but
Yeah.
as soon as you do, it feels like you've been listening to it for years.
Yeah. I that's my favorite song on the album. I put it
Mm.
as track one right when I wrote it. I like 70s music and pop music, and some of the chords in that song give that kind of vibe. And Scott Hall playing the piano with the Lonesome Brothers, so there's this kind of country element with this. It's a lot of Wurlitzer and stuff on it. Just had this kind of 70s sound, and yeah, that one came out. And
Perfect.
I couldn't be happier with the way that song came out. So,
I love it.
yeah, thank you.
I also love Have a Drink. The ending really kind of pierces my heart. It goes, what? Come on, have a drink with me. It's not like I'm afraid to fall in love. It's
Yeah,
just that everyone that loves me eventually breaks my heart.
yeah,
Oh man,
yeah,
that really gets you.
yeah. The album is so the I wrote all the lyrics at the same time. So we recorded the record, and I just sang mumble words. So it was just melodies, and I had a couple of hook lines and a couple of choruses, but I just sang them melody parts. And then when we were done, Danny Bernini, who produces all my records, sent me the tracks, and I wrote the lyrics after the fact. So I wrote them all at the same time. And there's a big mental health theme on the record. There's a a bit of dependency kind of issues, and there's some mental health issues, and just it's pretty personal record, even as up as it sounds. There's a lot that I worked through on writing the lyrics for that record, but I liked writing all of the lyrics at the same time, like all 10 songs, because they kind of came all at once.
So is it kind of like a concept album?
Yeah, it's not so much a concept album. Like, I was visualizing things, and I was going through things in my head, and that's kind of, I had ideas written down for what each song was about, what I wanted it to be about, and then that moment when I was writing it all, that's what I was going through mentally. So that's what ended up coming out. So, not to get too.
You've shared the stage with so many amazing artists over the years, as you've mentioned a few already. Is there anyone from the Western New England area that you would like to collaborate with next?
And geez, there's freaking so many. You know, I've never made a record with Mark Miller. And recently I've been working on a lot of producing and like recording myself, and Mark's helped me out through like some questions. Like, Danny's always produced all my records. I mean, I did one record in Austin at a different studio, but Danny mixed it. But Mark is such a good guy, and he's so talented, and I've never made a record with Mark, so that I make down the road, it would be nice to maybe bring some songs to Mark. And he's been very helpful. I've sent him some questions on some things, and he's just a helpful and a good dude.
Hmm.
As far as musicians, I mean, one time, like 10, 15 years ago, I played bass for the Fonz on a gig.
Ah,
I had to learn all Ken Mowry's bass lines, and that was an interesting one. But yeah, I mean, there are so many great players out here.
hmm.
Um, Yeah.
I always tell Mark Sherry, the executive director of the New Music Alliance, um, that I really missed out on all the great local bands that were from this area back in the 90s when I was really heavy into like the alt country sound and
Yeah.
that was going on.
Yeah.
One of my favorite bands back then is one from Texas. I don't know if you've heard of them, called Slobberbone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have
We
you
played
heard?
some shows with Slapperbone.
Oh, you have?
Yeah. Ware River Club opened for Slapperbone a handful of times.
Oh, cool.
I think we did TT the Bears in Boston. I think a show in Austin during South by Southwest. They're great. I
Mm,
think the singer's name is Brett or Brett.
yeah.
Nice guys and
Mm,
um, great writers. Yeah, great. Like I remember it was like I think I heard them and Drive By Truckers at like the same time. I remember Ware River Club would go on tour and we'd be in Atlanta and like the night before the Drive By Truckers were there, and but then those bands blew up, and
yep.
but yeah, I mean that whole moment, like I remember the first time I heard Sun Volts, it was like a life changing moment
Yeah.
for that album. Trace is just, I mean, it's top 10 record for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I want to write songs like this, and I like Wilco, and I do. I the early records I love, and there's
Yep.
some great, amazing stuff throughout their career. But that first Sunvolt record is just unmesswithable.
I hear you.
Yeah,
So the Green River Festival is coming up
I'm super excited. We're playing on the same day as Waxahachie, which is, I think
Sunday,
I've
right?
listened to Waxahachie more than any other artist, and over the last year and a half,
Yeah.
I've got all the records and
And didn't Waxahachie team up with Kevin Morby on some song?
Waxahachie and MJ Lederman. Her single from this last album had MJ Lederman, and MJ Lederman is playing right before her.
Yep.
Kevin Morby is playing with Courtney Barnett, and they play together all the time. I think that's the day before. But right back to you, right back to it from Waxahachie's. That song crushed me. The whole album is amazing.
Oh yeah. There's so many great bands coming to the Green River Festival this year, including Matt Hebert and the Lonesome Brothers. They'll be there on Sunday, the 22nd of June. And
Yeah,
you're going to be in the Roundhouse stage.
yeah. I have. It looks so cool.
Oh, I love it in there. It's nice
Yeah,
and cool.
yeah. There you go for June. We'll see how we get for weather, but
Yeah.
who knows? We might get a mud pit.
It's all right. It's all good music, so it doesn't really matter to
There
me.
you go.
Would you like to play a quick game before we go?
Oh boy, hit
It's
me.
a fun game.
Okay.
I think you'll do well. Most people don't get these questions. I'm going to ask you a question. It's the question is actually a song title,
Oh boy.
kind of like "What Is Love" by Hadaway. Um, and you can either tell me who sang the song, or you can answer the question. So
Um, Go ahead.
give me a number between 1 and 201.
68.
68. Here we go. Don't You Want Me?
Don't you want me, baby? Don't you want me? Oh. Whew. I
Do
gotta
you
like.
know who sang that?
I just did. That's about as much as about as far as I can go.
That's the Human League in 1981.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, you asked who's saying? Yeah, yeah. Human League. Yeah.
It's funny. I interview a lot of younger artists these days, and they
Nice.
would have no clue.
I remember. I grew up in Ware, and one of our neighbors had MTV, and we didn't have it. And I used to give him uh, VHS tapes and just say, put it on the grainiest one and tape me as much hours as you can, and I'd bring it into my house and I'd put it in the VCR, and just I remember hearing like was it uh Perfect Strangers by Deep Purple the first time, and I love that song, and Knocking at Your Back Door, and yeah, so sitting there looking, staring. Oh my god!
The good old days.
Yeah.
MTV when they played music.
Yes, very different thing now. At least we have YouTube channels to
Yes.
go down rabbit holes.
Well, Matt, thank you so much for taking some time with me, and
Yeah, Mark.
can't wait to see you at the Green River Festival, June 22nd, and it's going to be amazing.
Thanks so much for having me, Mark. I appreciate it.